Very good morning.
Good morning, sir. I think Satish sir and sir,
Ma'am,
you are
can we wait
very
for 2 minutes? Ma'am, can we
sure,
wait for
sure.
2 minutes?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yes, yes. So very good morning, one and all gathered here for this. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Very good.
So, very good morning, the team from OpenViewer, especially the resource person, Ms. Pooja Agarwal, and the coordinator, Mr. Pranav, for their the continuous coordination for organizing this webinar on generative AI. So we are much pleasure to welcome Ms. Pooja Agarwal, the resource person for today's webinar on generative AI. This is the second time we are organizing the webinar in our institution, Dr.N.G.P Institute of Technology, Coimbatore. So especially the OpenViewer, they are providing a lot of services in the educational domain, even with say, a free service. The students are gaining so many inputs on the recent trends by means of OpenViewer. I came to know your connections in LinkedIn, ma'am. So we are very much happy to connect with you. The first webinar we organized on chatbot creation. So definitely that may be a much eye-opening session for our students. So today we are having first year and third year artificial intelligence and data science students. Definitely this webinar generative AI is again another eye-opener session for them. So I request my student friends to get connected with OpenViewer. You get some inputs towards the generative AI, which can be much helpful to prepare some publication work, some projects works and all. So with this, a short note, once again, I welcome Ms. Pooja Agarwal and Mr. Pranav for this wonderful webinar on today morning. So ma'am, the session is yours. You please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir, for that amazing introduction. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for this session today. Uh, First of all, it's a warm morning, so I would just ask you all to rest well and stay a little more active. I believe you guys are in the seminar hall, so we would be interested in you getting as much as better engagement possible through your mobile phones. We'll share some links. If that same link could be shared with the students, it will be really helpful for us so that they're able to at least interact with the platform, even post this session as well. So starting the session for today. Welcome everyone. We would be having a bootcamp today on understanding generative AI, build powerful applications with ChatGPT. I am Pooja Agrawal and I am a senior developer advocate with OpenViewer. OpenViewer is a SaaS technology company supporting over 1 million developers build their ideas faster by reusing open source software. Our vision is to reinvent digital realization. Simply put, improve the way applications are built. By investing in a unique combination of public domain knowledge and artificial intelligence, OpenWeaver is delivering smarter ways to build the digital world of tomorrow. We have an interesting tool called Candy, with which you can easily get millions of functions, and it could help you find simple snippets that could help you integrate applications like we've developed today, like ChatGPT. You could also enable Stripe payments. You could add map to any page or a website of yours. You could also do simple tasks like email authentication. Basically, Candy is a tool that helps you get the best fit for your application with simple code snippets, functions, libraries, etc. Also, it provides you information and relevance on the license compliance so that you are able to very well get yourself equipped with the right dependent libraries that are required. Also, you can get informed and make informed decisions on the vulnerabilities that may incur while you are using a particular repository tool, etc. So with every code snippet, a developer can possibly save from as minimum as 30 minutes to 6 hours as well. Candy signifies knowledge and intelligence. And with that idea, I would like to also get into the session rules for today. So my request would be that, yeah, we should be able to get good outcome from this session. So I would suggest that we participate actively, and we are also able to engage well during the session. You are free to unmute yourself, put uh, your queries, since I guess uh, there's a common channel through which you can raise your queries. So it will be nice that even post the session, we could do a Q&A with all of you. You also would be suggested to, my suggestion would be that you follow instructions, so that in case you are missing out on something, I could also reiterate the process for you to set up the kit. And if you need, any more inputs, we do have our community platform as well, where you can go ahead and uh, raise your queries post the session when you're onto your laptops. So it's good that you also have to do a assessment to get yourself certified in this field of generative AI. So a timely submission would be something that is expected from you. Uh, with this, let's get into the agenda for the day. We would first talk about this very, very interesting tool that everyone, these days have been discussing and using very wisely. So ChatGPT it is, and you guys have already, I think, used it to augment your assessments, assignments in college, do your project work, etc. But apart from just using it for generic purposes and generating interesting responses from it, we would also learn how you can develop a simple, chat GPT clone of your own today through a very, very simple solution source that we will share with you. We will also discuss the architecture behind ChatGPT, wherein we will talk about the transformer reinforcement learning. And then we will see that how you can make ChatGPT more useful for you using some very interesting prompts. So before we get started with the concepts, I would like to actually showcase you the demo of our solution source today. So if you see, this is going to be our solution source for today. Don't worry, in couple of minutes, I'll also help you set it up onto your systems. In the meanwhile, I would just request you to stay, stay energetic and check out the interesting output that I'm going to showcase you with this solution. So first of all, you would see this is an interface that this is a very simple interface that we've put forward into our notebook. And supposedly I want to create a post, simple LinkedIn or a Twitter post for my organization. Let's say I do have a prompt. Let's say I want to create a Twitter post for OpenWeaver winning award at NASCOM events for the best SME platform. Okay, so I have a prompt already created. I will just paste it here. You could ask any simple query, right? But just I'm trying to showcase even this solution source, a simple solution source, how you could get a very instant response onto your platforms yourself, right? So this actually has all the hashtags attached, if you could see here, right, with the relevant keywords. And it is also mentioning we are absolutely thrilled to have won the Best SME Platform Award at the rate NASCOM events. We are grateful for everyone's support towards OpenWeaver and look forward to continuing to provide great services. And then you have, because it's a Twitter platform, you have your hashtags attached to the relevant keywords. So this is very simple, one of the examples that I'm trying to showcase you that the kit is capable of. It could also replicate it in the form of a LinkedIn post, as well as you could do much more from it. But before we actually, showcase you all the powerful features of this, I would now want you to set this kit onto your systems. So if you are not on the laptops as of now, just follow alongside and you can check back this recording later. That will help you go through the process very easily. Okay, so we'll share a link in the chat. You just have to go ahead and check out that link. So you'd see that this is the link to our community page. This platform basically enables you to interact with developers. You are able to share ideas here. You could also discuss with other enthusiastic developers regarding projects, etc. But for that, you'll have to be logged into this platform. Okay. So for that, I would just click on login. And since I already have an account, I just got into it. But in case you are using this platform for the first time, just enter your quick details. Yeah, just enter your quick details. It'll ask you to sign up. And once you have entered your relevant email ID and information here, as well as the required details, you would be able to sign up into the platform. So since I already have my account, I would just get into this. And there is a dedicated page specifically created for your college. So this is a dedicated page for which we have shared the link. If you check out, this list also down the steps that you need to take, even if you would like to follow through a 10-minute refresher video. Post this session. On this page, you also have a refresher video. 10-minute is, it's a short duration that can help you revisit all the concepts that I will discuss in today's session. And here, you would see that there is a practical exercise section. Here you have to go ahead and click on the Candy One Click Kit button. So we mentioned that Candy is a tool that helps you, jumpstart application development, do get simple functions, make things easy. Similarly, we have these interesting solution source in the form of kits for you, where I would just click on and get onto this page, and I would see that I have the instructions listed down, and with few clicks, just with few clicks, I will be able to set the kit onto my system. So I would go ahead and click on the one-click installer button. This will download a zip file onto my system. I would just say show in folder. Onto your local space, go ahead and right click and say extract all. So this will extract this folder, double click the extracted folder, check out a batch file like this, double click this batch file. You just have to say more info and run anyway. So Windows is giving you a notification because this is the file which is automatically setting things onto your systems. So if you would like, you could also check by scanning it before installation. And then you would see that this process of setup will start, uh, you know, setting the required dependencies automatically onto your systems. So let the setup happen. And in the meanwhile, we will discuss the concepts. So just minimize the screen and let the setup happen for you. Depending on your bandwidth, you could also check out the progress. So currently it is at 40%. It will take a couple of minutes. It's a large language model. So it may take a bit of time, from 5 to 7 to maximum 10 minutes based on the internet speed that you have. All right. So we just now get back into the concepts for the session. Okay, so today we are here to discuss the most interesting field that has become the biggest boom of artificial intelligence and something that has moved things around by a large margin. We see that ChatGPT, which is one of the most popular tools of generative AI, uh, has been integrated with most of the applications that you use today. You are able to automatically create music. You are able to create lyrics. You are able to get quick answers to any query that you put in the prompt, in the space that is provided to enter your query. So why is this technology very much different from what we already had in artificial intelligence? So if you see, we earlier used to use artificial intelligence to train our machine and instill in our machine, uh, you know, a way in which it could behave like humans. Okay, so if we say that machines could behave like humans, we somewhere believe that they had that same decision making power, and it was also intelligent enough, it was smart enough. So today with generative AI, we see that we use neural networks, two neural networks, or let's say algorithms, which somehow compete on a zero shot model, where we are expecting them to work on a reward model, and based on the reward that is being generated, they contest with one another, and we try get as close as possible to a required solution. So when I say we try and get as close as possible, so there could be multiple answers, right? When you search on Google, you see so many results, but you are the one who has to make the decision which is the one that is relevant to you. But when we talk about generative AI, it tries to give us the exact and the most correct and the appropriate response there and then. Hence, it is very beneficial. Another thing is that it generates original content. It is not picking something that is already present. It is using the internet data to train itself, but it is every time generating a original content of its own. So that is what makes, generative AI so interesting. And that is what it makes it very powerful. But what do we require? We require very large language models here. If you would have seen, what are the different applications of generative AI? If I ask you, if you guys could just recall, as you are listening to this session, what are the other applications that you have already used for in place of ChatGPT? So ChatGPT is one. How many of you have used Bard as a tool? So this is also another chatbot that Google has created to compete with OpenAI's ChatGPT. There is another, interesting tool that is called Gamma. There are another generative AI tools which can help you create music. So automatically you could just have to give, let's say, the genre and a couple of keywords, and you would be able to generate music accordingly. And that is something which is going to be an originally created music, right? So that is what generative AI has changed a lot. And if you have used your Mid Journey, so Mid Journey is one of the tools that generates images based on the text prompt that you give it. So the model that it is based on, it is Stable Diffusion, DeLay. These are all the models that are very much powerful, have used a lot of data to train themselves. It is massive, humongous amount of data, and that has changed and revolutionized the way we work today. So we come through ChatGPT, which is a large language model. When we say large language model, we are emphasizing on something that is not just, let's say, it has trillions and billions of data that was used to create this intelligent model. So that's why we say LLMs, or large language models, is something that requires a lot of server and processing power. So it is based on the transformer architecture and is trained on a data set of internet text to generate internet text. Okay, so we see that there was a lot of data that was generated on the internet. So all the internet data, massive amount of internet data that could be used, became its data set. And with the existing transformer architecture, where we convert our conversations into vector form, right? Machine doesn't understand this English language. We need a representation which is intermediary, which is also something that your machine can understand. So machine converts it into a vector form, and that vector form is then utilized to get us the required responses from our machine. So, and then those are converted into our natural language forms. So we understand English, we understand Russian, French, whatever different languages. So ChatGPT is not available in English, but it is available in more than hundreds of languages today. So that has also spread it like fire everywhere. If you talk about the features of it, it could help you generate language. It could help you in answering questions to your queries. It could help you complete text. Supposedly, I am trying to write a story around some keywords, then I could just give it those keywords, and the entire story could be created around it. In fact, if I'm writing an email, it will complete the email for me. If I'm trying to translate it, so language translation is obviously something that was also possible with Google, but then so many other things, like summarizing an entire book. Let's say you want to summarize a Java book, it will give you the summary of the most famous books if you would like. So that is how much powerful this tool is. And that power could be also seen with the amount of users it could generate in just 5 days. If we go around and see with the most of the other applications that are available, Netflix took 3.5 years, Spotify took just 5 months. In fact, Facebook Meta took 10 months. But then your Instagram, which was again, it took around 2.5 months to generate, billions and millions of users. ChatGPT could do it on only standard 5 days. So it was that in itself shows the power of this tool. And it has been developed by, most of you may be knowing it, Sam Altman and his team at OpenAI, on in which Elon Musk also invested. He has backed it off now because they are monetizing the model. This model was launched in November 2022. You could see that most of you now are using currently for free, but then if you need to use API, etc., beyond 3 months, you would need to go into the monetized model. So it is built on the GPT-3 model, which is again a multi-model combination of various text code Da Vinci models. So I would also showcase you the different models that are available. But currently today, we've used again the most famous model that has enabled it to work in the most powerful manner. What we got to do, we just have to give a prompt, and accordingly it will produce a text output for us. So this is what we will talk about today. Quickly, I'll also take you and walk you through the architecture of this interesting model. So there is a very minimal architecture that has been discussed. Primarily, there are three steps that are taken. First is a rollout step where you have a query. Let's say this movie it's an incomplete sentence. I provide it to my generative pre-trained transformer model, and that large language model, basically, tries to generate a response. Let's say it says the movie is really great. Then this pair of query and response it goes through a step two, which is an evaluation process. And when this evaluation happens, it could be through a model, a classifier model that is being created. It could be through a function. It could be through a human. It could be a combination of two of, either of these, or, single of them. And the only thing that we are looking forward is to get a scalar output, a reward output for each query response. After the step two, we go through a step three, which is an optimization process. In the optimization process, this is the most complex step. And this step basically, requires the query and the response together. We pass it through a language, our current model, and we also use a pre-trained reference model. So through these, we pass the query response and then try to calculate the log probability of the tokens that should be generated from these query responses. And we then try to get a KL divergence between the two outputs. We try to get a KL divergence between the two outputs in a mechanism, again, where we expect that it should yield a reward mechanism. It should be able to give us a response, an expected reward, so that the generated response is not deviating too much from what is being expected as a result. So what is our concern? We are trying to fine tune our model with the help of a reference model that we have taken, fine tune it with the help of proximal policy optimization. So basically, that fourth step is where you take it through a transformer reinforcement learning, TRL. And the TRL basically, this does pass it through a proximal policy optimization, where your on top of the transformer library, the improvement or the pre-trained model is being loaded, and that model finally results in the most optimal result. So that somehow this is the maximum that has been exposed as an architecture of ChatGPT. That too because it is a sibling model to your Instruct GPT, which was earlier available, and this was trained to follow an instruction in a prompt and provide a detailed response. So we also see there is a prompt that we provide, and accordingly we get a detailed response from this ChatGPT. So now let's quickly move to some amazing prompts that we would like to check for our model now. So we will just quickly check out some, prompts that are possible in our tool. Okay, so you must have reached with your setup in this duration by up till here, where you would see that your kit is installed at C Candy Kits Build Your Own ChatGPT. Very important to have space in your C drive. Only then, because it's a large language model, it would require some space. And also, you just have to say yes and enter. A Jupyter notebook will automatically open for you. So that's why we are calling this as a candy one-click kit, where with few clicks you are able to get to the entire solution source. So you would see that in this solution source, you have this OpenAI's API key. For this solution, we require access to the OpenAI's API, and for that, you would see on the kit page we have listed down the instruction as to how to get your own secret key. So guys, you will need your own secret key. If you don't have signed up onto the OpenAI platform, go ahead and follow this instruction. Sign up onto the platform. Okay. Sign up onto the platform if you have not already done. If you already have signed up, just click on the first step on the link that is being provided. This takes you to your API keys. If you still not here, click on personal, click on view API keys. That will help you generate keys here. So concurrently, it allows you to generate 3 to 4 keys. I already have generated some 3 keys. I could just click on this create new secret key and use this key for my solution. So also I would suggest you can go ahead and check out your usage limit. So very important to check out your usage limits. You should have credits here, and you should also be able to check the expiry. In case this is expired, then you may not be able to use the API. For that, what you got to do, you have to create a fresh account. Why I am telling you all these details? Because a couple of students, they generate the key, they paste the key, and then they realize then that my kit isn't working. So I have saved. After you come to this page, just click on create new key, enter the name of the key, and then click on create secret key. Copy the key. Let's say I would give it a name, my new key, and click on create secret key. I would copy this key and keep it safely. I should keep this key safely in a notepad somewhere. Okay. Very important to keep the key safely. The reason being that this key, you won't be able to now recheck it. Even if you say edit key, you could only change the name. So whenever you are generating it, please save this key into a notepad or a safe space that you can use from. So from here, I would copy the key and then go to my notebook, paste the key here, just say run all so that my notebook is able to run. And uh, let's check out the code now before I showcase you the solution. So this is a very simple code. Reason being, we have done some very simple imports. One is for OpenAI, another is for your OS, your operating system, and Gradio, which is used for the interface, the simple interface where you are inputting your prompt, getting a response. This is where I have pasted the key. You have a pattern for ChatGPT. You just give it a start sequence, and then you also give it a restart sequence. So you've just mentioned AI and human. So interaction is happening between your model as well as a human being. And the prompt that you have provided lets you set the behavior of your ChatGPT. So we're mentioning the following is a conversation with an AI assistant. The assistant is helpful, creative, clever, and very friendly. You are telling what kind of a behavior your model has to exhibit. Okay. And then you are just mentioning that the human is, saying, hello, who are you? The model is responding with, I am an AI created by OpenAI. How can I help you today? So all this that is being created here also showcased. Let me show you. If we click on the interface, you would see here, this is the conversation that is just being highlighted at the box here. So you could check it out. You could change these if you would like. You could make it to behave in a different manner. And then there are two important functions. One is OpenAI create, another is ChatGPT clone. So these two functions, OpenAI create and ChatGPT clone, primarily these two is where we have done the entire code. So what we do first is very important thing to remember about ChatGPT is it is the only tool that is also able to retain history, right? So ChatGPT is able to retain history, and that is what makes it most powerful, most interesting. And we say that it is able to remember conversations. It is able to behave like humans. So the first function where we are saying OpenAI create, we are giving it a prompt, right? A query. So that query basically passes through your OpenAI.completion.create where we mention the model. So I said we use the text DaVinci 003. So you would see that if you come here, there are various other models available. There is a GPT 3.5 Turbo, in within the text you have add a search document for add a search query. There is these are the ample number of ones that are available. For this is text similarity, we are primarily concentrating on the text DaVinci. There is instruct beta search document, and we are using the text DaVinci 003. Okay. You could also replace with it with another model and test it for the usability. So the prompt, whatever we have passed, will go into this prompt here from here, so that we are able to set the behavior, temperature, max tokens, top p value. All of these help in randomizing the response that is being generated. And max token basically tells you the limit in which it will generate the response. So when you are doing these API calls, basically there is a limit on the number of calls and usage that you do. So we've set it to a standard 150 tokens as a response. You could increase it to check if you would like to get a more detailed response. Then top p again with for the randomization in the response that you would like to get. Then there is frequency penalty, presence penalty. We will set these to the default values, and then stop with human as well as the AI communicating with the response. And what do you return from here? You return the response that is being generated. So this another function, which is the main function. Here you give a parameter called input as well as a history. So either initially there is a history, or the history there is a it is an empty list. You create this list and save it into S, and then append it with the input that is coming from the previous history, and then join the history and the input. Why are we doing it? So that your model is able to keep context of what was the previous conversation that you did. I will show you how it can remember. And this OpenAI create is the function that is being called from here, and the input is being passed. You get a output response being generated. The return response you get saved in the output variable, and then the history dot append with the input as well as the output is what you get from here. We return the history from here. Gradio is basically used again for the interface. You could use it in the form of blocks. So the responses, if you saw these blocks, is what we are saying. Gr.blocks, we are calling this function. And then we simply putting the heading here, then the chatbot as well as text box. We are preserving whatever is a message, the prompt message, the state, as well as there is a send button, right? The send button, the chatbots state, and then when we click on submit, the button that is present, send button, where whenever we click on this button send, we are passing it to the chat GPT clone. We are giving input in the form of a message and a state, and output is received in the form of chatbot's response as well as the state. So very simple functions we have used here. Now we will check out what and how you could make it more and more powerful and beneficial for you. So let's say I want to try some quick prompts here. I want to check a meaning for a word, let's say for herb ginger. So I paste it here, and I would say send. Yeah. So I would just say I'll just restart the kernel. So it sometimes that also can happen that when you're running, I'm running multiple instances of the same tool. So you just have to let the kernel run. Right. Okay. And I would just repaste my prompt from here. Let's say I want to check what is the meaning of Harbinger. I would send it. Maybe we did paste it this key. Let me check it in the same model once again. Yeah. So, right. So we could see that what is the meaning of Herbringer? It showcased the meaning here, the person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another. It can also refer to a person or thing that can foreshadow or presage what is to come. So just in case you see that one of your keys isn't generating the required response, then you just go and check the rate limits, usage limits here. So the current key, if you see that that has been already expired, you may just have to create a new account, right? So I do have two accounts from which I'm just trying to test the response that my model can generate. I just asked it the meaning of Herbringer. Now what I can do, I can ask a similar query. Can you give me the synonym? I am not giving any context, okay? We would give no context here and just again click on send. Then you see that it is giving me the relevant words: forerunner, herald, omen, prosecutor, sign, indicator, messenger, potent. So it is giving me synonyms, but I haven't mentioned for what, because it is able to retain the history of my conversation that earlier I had asked about a word called harbinger. So it is able to give me synonyms for it. Similarly, let's say I ask it to write a blog. Now I mention it not 100 word, but let's say I just want some 40-word blog post on generative AI. So I would be able to see that in a couple of minutes, yeah, it will be able to generate the required information and I'll be able to also use it. Let's try asking it to make a song about a programmer and someone who isn't a programmer. So let's give it this prompt and then send it. So if you see, the programmer puts his skill to use typing away on a computer, his mind racing, his code just won't lose. Staying focused on the answer, it's a puzzle. He can take the clues. So it's trying to do a rhyming scheme as well. What is the programmer? What is the program? He's begun. The chorus there that is being mentioned here is the task is tough, the hours long. One will work, the other carries on. You saw it's trying to create a song of it. And that's how, ChatGPT could be really interesting if you're trying to write music, if you're trying to generate a lot of content, if you're doing some interesting post, all of that you could use this tool with. And especially when it is on to, you could actually use and say that you're the one who are developing it. Let's say now I want to act. The interesting prompt is the more detailed prompt you give it, the better it will respond. So now there is a prompt. Let's say I want to ask it to act as a travel guide. So then in that case, I would just say, I want you to act as a travel guide. I will write you my location and you will suggest a place to visit near my location. In some cases, I will also give you the type of places I will visit. Okay. So you will also suggest me places of similar type that are close to my first location. My first suggestion request is I am in Istanbul and I want to visit only museums. So we have given every in every set of instruction that so that the model is able to accordingly respond to our query. So let's see if it is able to act as my travel guide. So it will give me information, has a great variety of museums to explore. One such museum it is mentioning is Pera Museum. And it is also mentioned where you can find artwork from 19th and early 20th century. There is also Rami M. Koch Museum, where you can learn about the industrialization of Istanbul. So yeah, it is mentioning each and every museum with the, with the information on what the museum can uh, help us explore. Let's say this Istanbul Archaeology Museum is a great place to explore ancient artifacts and remains of various cultures. So all of that you could see and ask it depending on. You could also ask it to act as your, motivator. It could help you get motivated. It could also ask you to, give you suggestions. So it is pretty much close to how a human would behave. So if you see, you can ask it to just, a simple query. But then the interesting part is with this model, let's say I ask for 10 top 10 popular recipes in India in 2023. So the interesting part is that it would, you know, give us the required dishes. Let's say these are the 10 ones, and you could then go ahead and just check out a particular recipe also. Everything you will get into the instant response. You don't have to choose, you don't have to make a decision. It will do most of the task for you, and also retain the history of the conversation that you did with it. So this is how, interesting this chat gpt tool is. And we would suggest that you go ahead and set it up onto your systems, experiment with it, try doing, multiple different prompts on it, and do give us suggestions of screenshots of to what you guys tried checking on the platform, and what was, what response you got from this model. So that way you don't have to wait for the servers. Sometimes ChatGPT on the free platform is able to say that, the servers are not available. You don't have to wait. In that case, you can get your response from your own created code. So we believe this is what we wanted to discuss from our solution source today. I am open to questions from you guys now. And even before we discuss the queries, I would just request you all that post the session, please go ahead and check out the kit, experiment with it, post your queries. You can also post your queries on our community channel if you would like. And yeah, that's it. So just look forward for your questions on this interesting kit that we just discussed. And if you guys want, we could also take your questions on the community platform later. Okay. Maybe if sir could pick up queries and pass those queries to me, that will be really helpful. Satish sir, can you please help us if in case there are some queries from the students?
Ma'am, no, ma'am.
Okay. So, okay. And this final thing, once you are done with setting up the kit, using it for your benefit, then you could simply go ahead and follow through this assessment. Click on the take assessment button. Here you would see that you have an option to mention that you've attended a college boot camp, and then answer these simple two questions. Also, there is an option to get a achievement certificate. Suppose you want to upgrade yourself, you just don't want to get a participation certificate, but you want to get an achievement certificate. In that case, we would want you to share with us a screenshot. Okay, just just enter the screenshot, customize it with your own idea, provide the link here, add the screenshot that you whatever changes you implemented, or any interesting outcome that you could get from the kit. In that case, we will review your output, and if that is something interesting that you've done, we would provide you an achievement certificate for this chat gpt generative AI session that we've done today. Fill in most of your details, and that should be good to go for doing your assessment for this session. So I hope this session was helpful for all of you to learn, and you were able to get glimpse of how you could, uh, enhance your prompts on ChatGPT and also use generative AI as a technology going forward for your projects. Thank you so much, everyone. And it was really interesting to do this generative AI session with these Dr.N.G.P students today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.